Subscribe or you'll be visited by the toll troll. Why is living in cities so expensive? Isn't the whole point of cities to make everything cheaper and more efficient since people are closer together? Reported for anti-Semitism. Most of the jobs are there and people need jobs, so landlords and home sellers can charge more. Because we are being pumped rotten by the renter class, like cattle in a mega shed. The point of cities is to gather together the weakest of humanity. Cities are wheelchairs, and to act as a pot in which to melt races together. Heinrich Himmler in 1937. I know very well the history of Christianity in Rome. I am of the conviction that the Roman emperors, who eradicated the first Christians, did exactly the same thing that we're doing with the communists. These Christians were then the worst yeast which the great city contained, the worst tiny hats, the worst Bolsheviks that there were. From the Nat-Sok book Handbuch der Judenfrage, the over-industrialization of a nation and the associated abnormal growth of massive cities no longer appears to us as the highest bloom of culture and prosperity. We now recognize the countryside as the eternally bubbling wellspring of the people and the big city as its grave. The new inheritance law makes use of this knowledge and restratifies society through extensive settlements throughout the country. The point of living in cities is to inhale the poor air quality and be surrounded by people who are desperate for attention. Competition, many people want to live there, plus restricted supply of housing, rent-seeking, safety, zoning, and environmental regulations. The noble engineers start building megastructures and flying cars, but this is a complex and delicate process and easily crushed by people who see their property prices no longer appreciating so quickly. Or they're simply scared of new things, too many women having a voice in overall planning and management. Innovation culture must be established, live and let live, even if the new 500 apartment skyscraper happens to block a little sunlight to Granny's old wooden shack, she must accept that for the greater good of the 500 families which will be housed there, now that property is affordable. Making new things needs protection under the law, encouraged by default as opposed to precautions by default as there is now, especially in Europe. Otherwise property owners gang up to stop the entrepreneurial engineering 1% of population making progress on behalf of all mankind. Don't say it, Goy, we know you want to say who's responsible for this, the rise of the average real estate prices according to Truflation and the shrinking of the middle class in America. Because we've reached a point in the city development where there are too many people there and it's become so crowded that the prices rise because more people living there means more demand and the supply can only go so far. What this leaves us is awful city experiences where everything is too close, too expensive, moving someplace else is even more expensive and everything is overcrowded, filled with homeless people or filled with trash. Some of the things I actually hope that AI will solve for us, maybe the more complex AI languages or the logical AI that Tao is developing, is how to solve the massive city problems.